Hello everybody and welcome back to the xSmithyx YouTube channel once again, here today for round 7 and 8 of the Jgrl Esports League. If you did miss the last episode for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, I suggest you go and check it out. It was an absolutely crazy race. And spoiler warning, we did come away with a third place, so another good result for us there. We did unfortunately miss round number 6 for the Spanish Grand Prix, but we're back today for the Belgian and Italian races. Just before we start though, I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone who checked out the last video. We did have a lot of new people watching it, so if you are enjoying the content, if you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button down below, help the channel grow, and we'll see where we can get to by the end of this year. And there will be some other links up on the screen showing our other social medias. If you could go and follow those, that would be massively appreciated. But here we are today then for the Belgian and Italian Grand Prix. Two tracks I generally quite like on this game. Never really done them competitively though, so we don't know how competitive we are going to be. So that's going to be something quite interesting to look at. Also, at the end of this episode, do stick around because we will be showing the championship table. Obviously, we had a little bit of a mix-up last time out. The game freaked out. So the updated championship table, including the British Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, and the two races you'll see today, will be shown at the end. And we will see where we are shaping up with the last 6 races of the season to go. But I think that's enough rambling from me now, so we're going to jump straight into Q1 for the Belgian Grand Prix. But as you can see, not really much to jump into. We didn't set a time in Q1 because there weren't enough people to make it worthwhile, so we'd automatically through anyway. You can see, unfortunately, at the bottom there, Vando did have his time taken away. He actually crashed out, so he's out of qualifying for this race. So he's going to start from the back of the grid. But here we go into Q2, right at the end now. It's still raining. The weather forecast is for it to dry up in Q3, so that's going to be something interesting to watch. Again, we are automatically going to be through this session. We do have a few AI in this. And if you look in the top left hand corner, you see I'm a Canadian there, did go out on soft tyres at the start of the session. He unfortunately did crash, so he's out of qualifying, so that is him done. So we are guaranteed to get through as long as we don't do anything stupid on this lap. So you can see you're not really pushing too hard. We massive lift off up Radion actually there. Definitely don't want to be spinning off up there because it's very easy to do, especially in these wet weather conditions. As we come down the Camel Straight, picking out the braking point for Laycom. Try not to go too aggressive over these curves. They are very, very easy to spin on, especially in the wet. But as we come through the next corner, we just go down a gear too many into a spin, and we're very lucky there that we actually hit the wall head on rather than with a tyre, because that could have seen our qualifying over. As it is though, just some front wing damage, having a bit of trouble spinning the car around there. We will complete the lap just because I did want to actually set a time at this point. So we come across the line, it's not a great lap, it's a 2:12. So that's not really filling us with confidence going into Q3. We've only done one lap in qualifying so far, and it put us in the wall. As you can see, I'm a Canadian, did get through to Q3, but will not take part with that damage. Chris, once again, he's won 3 in a row now, I think it is, coming into this race, so he's definitely going to be a contender. Now, into Q3, very interesting with the weather. The weather report was saying that it was going to get a little bit drier now, and then there'll be a very short period of dry weather before it starts to rain again. So my thinking, I went straight out on a set of intermediates, as did pretty much everyone, thinking that this would be the optimal time to set a lap. You can see we're going to absolutely fly around. I don't normally do this on my out laps, but we need to try and get around to make the most of the weather conditions because we want to try and get as good a lap in as possible. You see nearly losing the backhand there, up Radion. So this is going to be an interesting lap. It's an interesting session because this is going to be very, very crucial for the race. Now, as you can see, as we go on to start the lap, it looks like it's actually raining more. So not sure if the weather report is correct, but as we go through turn 1 here, we hit the brakes nicely. But then DRS gets enabled, and that was really confusing because that usually means in the F1 games that it's actually time to go into dry tyres, which, you know, looking at the weather didn't seem right. It looks wetter now than it was at the start of the session, but everyone behind is now going to dive in to go into dries. We come through Air Rouge, another massive spin. We get very, very lucky there that it's only half our front wings. That's our second spin in just 2 flying laps. So not really filling us with confidence here. However, unlike the last session, we are going to dive straight into the pits this time rather than complete the lap, and we are going to put dry tyres on. We're going to have to because this could be the only chance we get to set a dry time, and everyone behind us already has the opportunity. So here we are diving in. You can see in the space of half a lap just how much the track has dried out, but with the weather report saying it's going to rain again, I don't know whether or not that's going to be the case. If it is going to rain, is it going to stay dry for the end of the session? We just don't know. We see Jack Games there did retire. He's going to start from the bottom end of the top 10 for this Grand Prix, but where can we go? We switch straight into soft tyres and go straight back out because we need to try and make the most of this track. And as you can see, as we come on to start our lap now, about 4 minutes to go, the weather radar is still saying it's going to rain at the end of this session, so we need to get this lap in now while the track is dry. So we're going to fly down towards turn 1, towards La Source, hit the braking point nicely there, get the turn in, pretty much nailed. don't run too wide. You see Chris is coming out the pits now. Is he going to be able to settle that time, or is it going to start raining? We just don't know at this stage. You see, it does look like it's brightening up though, so maybe the weather report's just having us all on here. We don't know. Take a bit too much curb through ready on there. You can see Evan sets the fastest lap at this point of a 1:44.1, but in practice we had all gone much quicker than that, so the track can only improve at this point. We're going to come down towards Lake On. We have gone purple through the first sector. We go very aggressive on these curbs now, and this was really a lap of faith. No one really knows where the grip level is at. It's the first time this session that any dry running whatsoever has really taken place, because at Q1 when it was dry it did actually start raining halfway through everyone's laps, so no one has really got a representation of what the track is like. We're just throwing the car in and praying that it's going to stick, because if we go off here that could be the end of our qualifying if it does end up raining again. See, maximum commitment through there. Very hard on a pad to get that line right. If you turn in slightly too late you just can't correct it, so I'm definitely going to be investing in a wheel at some point. Hopefully that will unlock a bit more speed. See, through there having to stab on the throttle a couple of times, just not able to get the line right. As we come into here, this is a very crucial corner as it does set you up for the whole back straight. We've gone purple through that sector as well though. X O'Connor now takes over pole position with a 1:42.9, so he's improved by 1.1 seconds on what Evan did. Is this lap going to be enough to challenge that? We're going to have to wait and see. As we come through Blanchimont, absolutely flat out towards the bus stop chicane. Nothing to do but pick out the braking point. It looks like we've done it pretty well. The one and only is just up ahead, but he's not going to compromise the lap, thankfully. Take a lot of curve through the second part of the bus stop there. Take the shortest run to the line, and it is a 1:42.3, which gives us pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. We nailed that lap. Went out at the perfect moment. You can see a 6-tenth gap behind us. The gap between second and fifth, so close there, just 0.4 of a second. So we're definitely looking at a very close scrap in this race. The top 5 covered by less than a second, but we nailed that lap. And as we go into the race now, that gives us pole position. Thankfully it is a dry race, a lovely sunny day. You can see and ahhing whether to go for mediums or hards for the second stint, as it is a one stop. We decide to stay with the mediums though. So as we go to 5 red lights this time, can we, for once, not get jumped off the start? You see revving the hell out the engine, 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a very good getaway for once. We were actually going to maintain position into turn 1, but as we turn in, we get a wild Ferrari punting us off the track there, who sent us wide. We're going to lose a lead to Evan as he does then overtake us. We get a warning for track limits. And remember, with the corner cutting rules we have on, we only get 3 warnings before we end up getting a penalty, so that could prove crucial. We get a lot of dirty air there. Somehow that's not an exceeding track limit, so we get away with one there. But not very happy with that move. Absolutely destroyed us into the first braking zone. We've ended up with a warning, leaving us with only 2 for the race, and we have lost the race lead. So to say I was a little bit annoyed at this point is putting it mildly. We're going to want to get onto the back of Evan and take that lead back. I don't know where he came from. We're going to get a little replay up of it in a second. But he dived so late into that corner, I have no idea like how he thought he was going to get it stopped without that contact, because he was looking like he was about to sail straight on. So we're going to bring up this replay now from the third person camera angle. And see, we go into the red lights here, away from pole. You see Evan starts behind us on the mediums in third position. We get a good getaway. Obviously Evan gets a pretty decent start, but he is clearly over a car length behind at this point. And then into turn 1, as I turn in, he just dives it up the inside. There's the contact, we get punted off, and that gives us a warning and loses us the race lead. So a little bit aggressive there from Evan. So we're going to have to fight fire with fire, I feel, at this point in the race. As we come through here, we compromise his line through there, we're in the slipstream. He goes defensive, so we're going to have a look around the outside, not really close enough to get a move done. So we're going to try and set him up for a little switchback, but just couldn't get the car turned in. Again, another one of the issues with a pad, you just can't really change direction as quickly as you'd like. But as we come through then, at the end of the first lap, see the top 5 covered by 1.6 seconds. But into here, the one and only ends up running into the back of us. I think he might have just missed his braking marker there. Gives himself some front wing damage, unfortunately, because he has looked very, very strong. A massive improvement from where he was at the start of the season, so very heartbreaking for him. And I'm very sorry that he got that front wing damage. Again, there we go, that's our second exceeding track limits warning already. If we cut a corner, exceed the track limits one more time, we get a penalty already. And, you know, one of them was for being punted off, so I don't really feel that's fair from the game. And, you know, I was very, very frustrated at this point with Evan. He's still in the lead. Obviously, it doesn't look like it, but the dirty air in this game does hold you up when you're about this range, maybe a little bit closer than we are now. So, we're losing time, and we're potentially going to get a penalty in this race if we're not careful. So I was quite annoyed with that move, but we're going to have to try and get our heads down now. You see the gap's up to 1.2 seconds. So we're going to try and get our heads down, close this gap, because we've got X O'Connor and Chris Beats right behind us. Two incredibly quick drivers, and we can't afford to just focus on what has happened. We need to move forward in this race. As we come through these corners, see Evan got a little bit out of shape going into there. As we come into this corner, I think he just turns in too early, gets on the grass, sends himself wide, and that 1.1 second gap is now down to just 0.4 of a second. So we're in the slipstream. We're going to stick it up into overtake mode here. Going to try and see if we can get a move done. As we go to pull out, there's a little bit of lag though, so I'd lift off, go onto the grass, because I don't want to risk contact, don't want to get any damage. So we're going to sit behind, a little squirt of overtake again, and once again we're going to try this move around the outside much later on the brakes. As we turn into the corner, we get a bit of oversteer and then make some contact with Evan. We get the move done, but as I go to take the corner, X O'Connor's come out of nowhere and he's on the bit of track I wanted to be on. We're going to let him go because we were off the track, but now X O'Connor's taking the lead. What a frantic first couple of laps this has been. We've had 3 different race leaders now as X O'Connor gets a good run out of here, but it does mean we are going to have DRS down this straight, down the Kemmel straight into Lake Om. The best overtaking opportunity on the track really. We had to lift off going into Air Rouge there, once again slightly cutting that corner, didn't get a warning for that one, so very inconsistent there. But we've got DRS now, we're going to try and go around the outside, but as we're going to look across, Evan's trying to make it 3 wide down this straight. An absolutely incredible move. As we turn in, we try and leave some space. There's a bit of contact there though, and X O'Connor gets sent into a spin. We're going to see a replay of it now. Not the best camera angle, but this is the best one I could get. You can see I try and hang it around the outside, and he just gets pinched there, X O'Connor. Not really anything anyone could do. 3 into 1 just didn't go, and unfortunately he has been spun off. He's only lost about 4 seconds though, so he will get onto the back of this train. But that has allowed Chris up into P2 now. We're up into the lead, so this has been a frantic first couple of laps. We've had 3 different race leaders, we've had a spin for a championship contender, we've had contact, we've had it all. This is only lap 3 of this race, so this is definitely one you're going to want to stay tuned to, because this race only gets better from here. And we are in the lead at this point, so very happy to see that, finally retaking the lead from pole position. So can we get our heads down now, can we build this gap? Chris is only half a second behind though, so coming down this long straight towards the bus stop, he's going to be in the tow. I think he's going to use some overtake here probably. This is a very good opportunity to get an overtake done. So he's in the slipstream as we come down here, about 2.5 of a second behind, so he's definitely in range of an overtake. We're going to defend to the right hand side here. It looks like he's going outside, so we move over, and Chris sends us an absolute perfect dummy there. Gets it up the inside, we can't switch back on him, so we're going to have to try and hang it around the outside. Becomes the inside for this corner, but Chris gets the move done. Absolutely fantastic move from him there. Nothing I could do to defend it, but Chris now becomes the 4th different race leader, and we're only on lap 4. What a crazy race this has been so far, but just like the last lap, we are going to be in the DRS coming onto the Kemmel straight, and we need to get this move done. Chris has shown the last 3 races that he's won, that if he gets into the lead, he's just going to disappear up the road, so it's imperative we get this move done as quickly as possible. Once again, into Rich Revs, little squirt of overtake mode, we've got DRS. Evan is once again coming to make it 3 wide into this corner. He goes very late on the brakes, dives it right up the inside, and then brakes right in front of us. I'm not sure that was intentional, but it's slowed us down. You see he's got damage there. Once again on the apex, slowing right down. We're going to have to cut back underneath him, and this time I'm just going to send a huge dive up the inside. It's our turn to brake right in front of him. Chris gets back through, so we're just going to put the manners on Evan there. Definitely not wanting to appear a pushover. He's bullied us a little bit in this race, so time to do a little bit of bullying back, get the elbows out, and we are back into the lead, and status quo has been returned. As you can see, X O'Connor's caught right back up. He's only 1.7 seconds behind now, so the top 4 in the Drivers' Championship already covered by 1.7 seconds. This is the battle we've all been waiting for this season. As we go on to lap 7 though, you can see Evan has disappeared from this battle. He had to pit because of that front wing damage, so it's now a 3-way fight between me, Chris and X O'Connor as we come up Air Rouge, up through Radion, over the top of the hill. We're going to have to use a lot of overtake here. You can see we don't have much of it left. We've used quite a lot of it early on, and that was a big mistake on my part in this race because it leaves us very, very vulnerable to Chris. He's going to try and dive it around the outside here. We're going to try and squeeze him out a little bit. Bit of contact made, and Chris, thankfully, he does actually let me go here. That was not his fault, that was totally on me. I didn't realise with the indicator arrow that he was quite as alongside as he was. I thought he was a little bit behind so I could cut across his nose. Obviously evidently not. So Chris being very sporting there because he didn't have to give me that spot back. But we do retake the lead. A little bit of argy-bargy there, just letting me know he's there. But as you can see, at the end of that lap we actually decided to come in. You can see our pit window opened on lap 8. We're pitting 1 lap early because my theory was, in this race, I was a little bit quicker at this point than Chris through most of the lap. and then he would just pull back about half a second just on that straight alone. So I was hoping if I could get an undercut here and break free of the slipstream and of the DRS, that maybe we'd be able to get away from Chris. And I spotted this little gap here that we've come out into just behind Canadian, doing a fantastic job in the first race I've seen him in. He's already up into P3 at this point, obviously a net P4, but we've just come out a couple of seconds ahead of our teammate, and this was the gap I'd spotted, that hopefully if we can get our foot down now and try and get an undercut on the guys in front, maybe we could get a couple of seconds gap, and that could be enough to win us this race. And see, we went purple through the middle sector, so definitely showing this tyre has some pace, and actually being allowed to drive at our pace now rather than battling every single lap, we can hopefully try and get an undercut. See, Canadian comes into the pits there just as we were about to catch him, so that's perfect timing there. Chris did pit on this lap to respond, so where is he going to come out in relation to us? Our teammate Vando comes into the pits this lap as well to be clatter that inside curb, a little bit too much there. And to my surprise, Chris comes out of the pits only 1.3 seconds behind. I thought the gap would be 2, maybe 3 seconds, but no, he did a fantastic job on his in-lap to make sure that he didn't lose too much time. So Chris has got some great pace here. So that undercut, while it has got him out of DRS, it's not really got him out of it enough for it to have made a difference. And as we move on to lap 11, you can see he's already all over the back of us. Connor went a couple of laps longer, so he's got fresher tyres than both of us in this race, and he's only 1.6 seconds behind. We're going to have to go very defensive into the bus stop because Chris is having another look around the outside. We do go deep into the corner though to keep him covered off. So Chris is definitely going to be pushing very hard in the second half of this race. See, he sets the fastest lap, immediately taken by X O'Connor, who's just behind as well. So this is going to be a three-way battle between 3 of the quickest drivers in this league. Obviously unfortunate for Evan that he's not up in this fight, but he will definitely be one to watch in the races to come. But as we come now towards, once again, through Air Rouge, through Radion actually, over the top of the hill, onto the Kemmel Straight. And see, we still don't have much ERS. I've been trying to save it, but every lap we've been having to use it on the straight to defend from Chris. And Rich Rev, we're going to go down to lean now because we need to save a little bit of fuel to be able to do that every single lap between now and the end. But this is a very important stage of the race. We need to try and harvest some energy to keep this gap where it is. See, we jump onto lap 15. Unfortunately, X O'Connor had a couple of spins in this race. I think going through Puon, he clipped the inside curb. It's basically just an auto spin curb on this game. It's pretty ridiculous really, so unfortunate for him, he's dropped that 16 seconds off the back. But as you can see, we've still only got about 30% ERS. A little bit wide there, we don't get a warning for it. But once again, down the Kemmel Straight, we can't use much ERS, we're already below 20%. We're up in Rich though, and Chris is definitely attacking us now. He once again goes to the outside. This time we brake later than we did before. We're going to deliberately run wide on the exit just to cut off that line that he was trying to take. And we once again managed to keep this position. But we're going to have to try and keep him at arm's length because we can't afford to be using that much ERS every lap. And that is just what we have managed to do. As we jump on now to lap 19, you can see Chris is still behind. We've saved a little bit of ERS. We're up to about 35% now, which is much better than the 20% we were on before. But once again, Chris is so close to the back of us. We've unfortunately not got DRS on those back markers you can see in front. But we're going straight to the line now. We're not giving him this inside line from the corner. We're down to just 10% ERS. So this is a very big attack from Chris here. But once again, we managed to hold on to this position. And hopefully we can get through this traffic now. Maybe try and get a little bit of a gap as we fight through it. But who knows. But here we go onto the penultimate lap now. So Chris wasn't able to launch an attack that lap. So once again, this is now getting feisty. We kept Chris behind for all those 4 or 5 laps. And I thought maybe we were pulling away, but it's becoming obvious to me now that Chris was just saving ERS and saving fuel because he's got so much overspeed here. We're going to have to go so late onto the brakes, once again managing to hold him off. Chris throwing out all the tricks up his sleeve. He's using a lot of ERS and we barely have any to defend. But as we go on towards the last lap then, he's only going to have a few more chances to get this move done. Can we hold on to get our second win of the season? Or is Chris going to get past us and take a 4th consecutive win? Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? We've only got a lap to go after this one. See, just in the top left there, XO has managed to overtake Canadian. He made another pit stop to get soft to try and get that fastest lap point, and he has done that. So XO Connor back onto the podium. A very impressive showing from Canadian though. This only his second league race, the first one I've seen him in, because obviously his debut was at Spain, which I missed. But a very good showing from him. It's always good to see people joining the league and immediately getting on the pace. The one and only has recovered up to P5 after that earlier incident of having to make an extra pit stop after breaking his front wing on my rear end. Very unfortunate for him, but another good showing from him, scoring solid points for the Mercedes team. But here we go towards the bus stop again. Chris is having another look around the outside, So once again, we're late on the brakes. He's still there. We open the steering up a little bit just to once again run wide on purpose, just to cover off the line he's trying to take. And we're going to go on to the final lap now, still in the lead. But as you can see, the ERS on the bottom, we've only got about 30% as we come out of this corner. So this is it. This is Chris's best opportunity to get the move done. We are using so much ERS down here because we know this is where Chris is going to attack us. The gap is about 0.3 of a second. You can see just how much ERS we're using up. We're down to single figures already on this straight. Only about 4%, so we're going to have to go down into standard. Are we going to run out of ERS by the end of the straight? It looks very tight. Chris is coming, so we're going to once again hold this inside line. We move out a little bit. Chris sends a huge dive up the inside. Contact is made between the two of us. We're both off the track. I come back on here. We've got a huge amount of oversteer, but Chris, again, very graciously lets us keep the position. He didn't have to do that. Obviously, I don't think he would have made the corner on the line he was on. It was such a narrow line, and he carried so much speed into there. And obviously, contact was made. We both went off. So Chris, once again, being very sporty and letting us have that position. But now you can see on the MFD here, we've got some wing damage from that actually. And with only half a lap to go, is Chris going to be able to capitalise and take the win? Can we hold on? You can see just how worn our tyres are as well. Pitting that one lap early has definitely meant we've had to manage the tyres as best as possible in this race. See just how much understeer we're getting now from that damage. But yeah, this has been an absolutely insane race. Chris was basically all over the back of us from about lap 4. He is so incredibly quick and so consistent. It's so hard to really verbalise just how much pressure he puts you under because he's so consistent. And no wonder he is the champion of last year, and it looks like he's going to be running away with the championship this time. But we are coming into the bus stop. He looks too far back. So as we come in here, if we make sure we hit the marks perfectly, which we do, go a little bit wide, but it's not enough for Chris to get a move done. And as we come to the line, we are going to win our second race of the season. Except, no, we are not. You see, as we go onto the podium, Chris wins. During the race, I did get my third corner cutting warning, which meant I got a 3-second time penalty. So that punt by Evan into turn 1 basically gave us a penalty in this race. Obviously, you can say, well, I shouldn't have been exceeding track limits. Obviously, I only did it twice, so I shouldn't really have got a penalty. But getting punted wide through no fault of my own has cost me this race win. Absolutely devastated at this because I really had the pace. I tried so hard in that race, and there is a confirmation that we end up in P2. X O'Connor rounds out the podium with Canadian, the one and only Haymaker, Vando, Evan, Jack Games and Mr. Rivers in the Alfa Romeo, rounding out the top 10. But as you can see, as we go on through the instant log, there it is. So we got our first warning on lap 1, the other one on lap 2, and then on lap 11 we got a final one which gave us the penalty. So without that incident at turn 1, we wouldn't have got a penalty in that race. We would have been fine. But unfortunately for us, we've been cost a race win through the stewards, feeling quite Sebastian Vettel in Canada 2019 right now. Yeah, absolute heartbreak, but it was about to get a lot worse going into Monza. Our problems started in Q1. Now this time we have got quite a few new people in the league. We're up to 16 people now. So it actually means we do actually have to qualify in Q1 because otherwise we will get knocked out. As you can see here, we've already set a lap of a 120.6. That was just a banker lap. But in practice, I had actually set a 118.9. In a session we did just before this official one, I did a 119.0 in qualifying. So I was just here, just doing a vanity lap, just trying to put a marker down, because everyone's obviously not pushing too hard, but all in like the 120s. But having a spin here on our first lap, see just ahead Chris has also spun off, so not ideal for him. But this lap was completely unnecessary. I didn't need to do it. It was just me basically just trying to put a marker down and show off my pace, so it's completely unnecessary. So instead of pitting, once again, stupid old me decides, I know, I'll try and do another lap. This is the third flying lap these tyres have done now, so they're very, very worn. Absolutely unnecessary. As we go into turn 1, you can see we are gaining a lot of time because I only did my banker lap in rich as normal, but now we're in max revs. Obviously very worn tyres, so we're not going to get close to the peak lap time that I can do on this track. But again, this is just me trying to show off and be stupid. Absolutely no need to do it. As you see, we actually go quicker through sector 1, so we're purple, so we are the fastest guy on the track at this stage. Go a little bit deep through that chicane, thankfully don't spin out there this time. Still gaining time through the exit, but as you can see, we're just getting a lot of understeer, not carrying the right line because the tyres are going off. All the time we're gaining is basically down to the engine performance and using basically the party mode. As you can see, we've lost a bit of time through both Lesmos, but we're gaining it all back down here. But as we come towards the Ascari now, very, very difficult, once again on a pad. It's one line only, so we get understeer through here, we get on this curb, it sends us into a spin, and into the wall we go. We lose both left-hand tyres, and that is us out of qualifying. And the way that Cody's for some reason have coded qualifying here, rather than let me keep my lap and then just not able to go through to Q2, for some reason, I'm now out in Q1. So I'm going to start second last in this race, for a race that really, I had the pace to be right up there at the front of the grid. So that's an absolute disaster. I had to sit around for about 35 minutes waiting for the rest of qualifying through a stupid mistake of my own. And it gets even worse because you can see this is Q3. The pole time was a 1:18.8, which was definitely within reach for me. So I've basically lost a chance to fight for pole position by being stupid in Q1. And I'm now going to start the race from the back. But things didn't get any better in the race. As you can see, starting the race, already got gravel on my tyres because I got punted off on the formation lap that we do. Coming down towards turn 1, we can see Logan Josh, one of the new people there. A very slow start from him, but we're off to a great start here. We're up into what, P9 already. The Ferrari goes a little bit slow, but we're going to follow him through. Haymaker's got a weird glitch there where his tyre's not actually connected. Canadian jumps over the gravel to overtake us. We've got nowhere to go, and now we're into the gravel. So all that hard work we did into turn 1 been undone, so we're now back down to last position. So this has not been an ideal start to the race. We need to try and clear these people as quickly as possible. There are still a few AI people who couldn't make this race, so we need to clear them because they're going to be very slow. Vando here, don't know what he's doing. He crashes into the back of the Red Bull, so we have to go really, really slow into here. Once again, compromising us. We're going to try and get past the Red Bull here. It goes so defensive. We nearly have to go onto the grass or risk hitting him there. So that was less than ideal. Coming through here, Vando just gets a load of understeer. He's into the gravel, so we've gained a few positions back. But obviously, we were up into the top 10 by turn 1. We're now down in P14, so that's less than ideal. As we go on now to lap number 2, a randomer joins the party. Don't know who this is. That puts me off, and we go off into the gravel. Obviously, once again, seeing just how hard the curbs are on a pad, you can't correct it. If you hit a curb wrong, that's it, you're into a spin. Puts me at a massive disadvantage, really, but that's another couple of seconds lost. Now we go on to lap 3 coming through here, still trying to get past the AI. The AI is set to something like 20%, I think it is. Yet we're still stuck behind them. Coming into the braking zone for this corner, the Alfa Romeo moves over very, very late, so we almost hit him. So that was nearly a disaster there. We hit this curb again, and once again into the gravel. We just can't correct it. We then get hit by an Alfa Romeo coming out of that corner. So nothing's going right. We end up getting a warning for that somehow. I don't know how we're at fault because another car drove into us. But the start of this race has just been an absolute disaster. We're only P14. 3 laps in, we're still behind a couple of AI drivers. And if you look at the minimap, we're only just coming towards Ascari. The leaders are coming through the final corner already. So this race has been an absolute disaster. And this is all through my stupid mistake in qualifying. You see here, another thing I was struggling with this race, the car just felt horrific. It felt so planted through all the practice. Even qualifying before that spin, the car had felt pretty good. But in the race, it just understeered like a boat. As you're going to see through here, just not able to bite into the corner. But then whenever I hit a curb, it would just get a massive amount of oversteer, so it just made no sense. I was really, really unhappy with the balance. But see, as we jumped onto lap 8 now, we have put our foot down. We're up into the top 10, so we've got the pace clearly. We've overtaken a lot of cars, but once again, coming into Ascari, we're catching up to the back of Jack. We turn in, as we go to do the right, we see just how much understeer we get. We clip that curb on the inside, sends us wide, and we're in the gravel, nothing we can do, and we've got a damaged front wing, and we're going to have to pit now. So we're going to have to pit before the soft tyre runners. My plan was to go long on these mediums and be on the softs at the end, but now we're going to have to pit onto the hards, because obviously we can't go medium. So this race just keeps getting worse for us. It's like the game's cursed. It's like I'm cursed in this race. Nothing's going right. I had people in my house distracting me, being quite noisy, when normally I'm allowed to just focus. You see, we just yeet the car into the pit lane there. The car's just feeling horrific for some reason. I haven't changed anything on the setup. This is exactly how I've been running it the entire time through practice. But the car felt completely different. You see, I'm going to lower the diff here because I thought maybe that's the reason. The car's just not responding correctly. We're just getting no luck. We've been off the track about 4 or 5 times. And now, once again, we're back down into last. So all that time that we gained through strategy, through just the pace we had, has now all gone to pot, basically. We're back down into last place. And we're on the worst tyre, and we have to run this now basically 18 laps to the end, so it's really not looking good for our prospects of points in this one. And then you can see just ahead we've got Vando and Mr. Rivers. We're going to try and catch them, but as soon as we try and put our foot down, as soon as we come out the pits, the VSC comes out, so that's more time we've lost there. If it had come out 10 seconds earlier, we probably would have jumped Rivers and Vando, but yeah, just nothing going our way in this race. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just this track or whatever, but it's just got it in for me today. And again, it still gets worse as we come on to lap 15. We've once again managed to finesse our way up into the top 10, but coming through this corner, once again, we hit the curb, try and correct it, and you just can't do it on a pad, and it sends us round. And at this point, I just had enough. I couldn't focus on the race because of what was going on in my house, and I just retired. We were going to score no points. I just couldn't be bothered trying to do this, but as you can see, that means for the championship, after sorting out the Silverstone points and adding on the points for Spain, for Spartan for this race, Chris Beats has won 5 in a row and takes a 49-point lead in the championship with just 6 races left. It looks like he is going to become our back-to-back champion, and I have to say it's massively deserved. He had a bit of sort of a slow start to the season. Even we were ahead of him at one point, but he's just come on strong. Ever since that doubleheader at Silverstone, he's been in a league of his own, so he now leads over X O'Connor for Mercedes on 123. He didn't score any points because he actually crashed out in Italy. That's what brought out the virtual safety car. We are in a very tight battle with Evan for P3. We've had a run of very poor races recently, and that has allowed him to catch back up, so just 1 point in that. But the more intriguing battle to watch over the last 6 rounds is going to be this battle over P5. We've got 4 drivers covered by just 2 points, so that is going to be really, really good to watch. Kai has been very quick at times this season. The one and only has been on a massive upward trajectory after the first couple of races, getting much better luck, and he's shown some great pace. Vando and Haymaker just been very consistent lower end point scorers, but they're getting points for their teams, and that sees them in this fight over P5. We've got Jack Games in P9 on 32 points, a little bit further back. He's got incredibly unlucky this season with first lap incidents. I think it's 4 or 5 races he's had an incident on that one that has basically wrecked his race. So very unfortunate for him. Hopefully the second half of the season can go a little bit better. And finally in P10 we have Vivid in the Red Bull on 27 points. The league is up to 16 people though, so there are more people in it, but I'm only going to show the top 10. As we look at the constructors, McLaren have a pretty healthy lead, up on 204 points, ahead of Mercedes on 177. But with the upturning form of the one and only, maybe Mercedes can fight the McLaren team for the championship at the end of the season. We're in a pretty comfortable P3 at the moment. We're going to want to try and keep that just ahead of Racing Point, who are in P4. Ferrari are P5, but Evan now has a teammate. There is a second Ferrari driver finally in the league. So if he can get up to speed, because he has shown pretty good pace to be fair, the Ferrari driver, can Ferrari mount a challenge to our P3? That is going to be a storyline to watch in the last few races. And then the battle over 6th is between Red Bull, Williams and Alpha Tauri, the new team. We've got 2 newcomers driving that car. So will they have the speed in the remaining races to clinch that P6? It will remain to be seen, but that is the constructor standings for Jgrl esports season. Obviously a lot of battles to watch coming into the last half of the season, both in the drivers and the constructors championships. Obviously our battle for P3, that insane P5 battle in the drivers championship, and then hopefully we can clinch that P3 in the constructors championship as well. That is our aim for this season. But that has been it for rounds 7 and 8 of this season. Hopefully we can improve next time out, because what has tended to be a trend, because these races are run on a Saturday and a Sunday, pretty much every race weekend so far I've had one race where I've ended on the podium and then one absolutely shocking race. So hopefully the next 2 races, which are at Vietnam, which is a track I don't particularly like, but in testing I've looked pretty quick at, so hopefully that transfers over. And then the other race is at the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, a track I dominated in pre-season testing, so hopefully that will carry over. But hopefully that means we can have a good race weekend, we can get back in the fight and get some more podiums and try and clinch that P3. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you are enjoying this content, please do smash that like button down below. Please subscribe to the channel because there's plenty more coming. And as you can see on the screen now, there is our social media links. Please go and follow them. It does mean a lot to me. I hope you have enjoyed the video. There are plenty more series, definitely more content coming that I have in the pipeline. Should be starting this weekend for the Belgian Grand Prix, so I hope you will join me for that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I have been xSmithyx. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Thank you very, very much for watching, and goodbye.